Alright fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And this is the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 podcast where I talk about my opinions on gaming and other related topics such as comics, movies, TV shows, anything I really want to. And I'm just getting my thoughts and opinions out there. So this one may be a little bit short. I'm coming back to it, bringing it back from the depths of January, where I just did, you know, kind of like an experiment, you know, type thing with the episode 1. So, with this one here, it's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm assuming I'm going to ramble on about tons of things. So, I'm only really going to talk about maybe 3 to 5 things, since there hasn't really been a lot of news this week, outside of, United's troubles and other airline troubles and things like that, but there hasn't really been a lot of ongoing gaming related stuff to talk about. So first things first, we're going to take it back to a few years ago and actually talk about Call of Duty in a commentary video. So the new Call of Duty is set to be World War II, and I just don't know how I feel about that. Like, I want it to be a little bit more boots on the ground, as it were. But I'm somebody who, I'm done with World War II. You know, I'm done with World War I. You know, I remember back before COD 4 came out, when like for the most part, every major FPS, like for those of you who weren't around playing FPS games back in the day, well, I'm not gonna say back in the day, but you know, a few years ago, before COD, you know, let's say COD 4 kicked off the modern resurgence of modern FPS games, everything was World War II games. Sci-fi had a brief period in there, but for the most part, every shooter game was a World War I game or a World War II game or a back in the day type thing. That's what everybody did. Hell, the reason why Call of Duty is around probably because of Medal of Honor. That was the game that really kicked it off back in the early thousands. And for them to go back to that, I know a lot of people are wanting boots on the ground, but just me personally, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. However, the sci-fi, you know, boost jumping, I'm not feeling that either. You know, all the stuff in the new CODs. Honestly, what I think Call of Duty is missing is, and I've been saying it for years, you can go back and watch any of my older Call of Duty videos, is Call of Duty is they're in a similar place where Halo was. Like Halo years ago, before Halo Reach came out, you had Halo 3, you had ODST, which was like a spin-off expansion pack of Halo 3, and then you had Halo Reach. When they made Halo Reach, that kind of split their community, where you had people who liked Halo 3 and the people who loved Reach. Mostly newer fans who jumped on with Reach versus the older Halo games. And in Call of Duty, I think by their, how would I want to describe it? By their audience being so fragmented, because of their release schedule, it's kind of scattering everything. Everybody likes their particular COD game, whether that's MW2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, you know, Advanced Warfare. And it kind of doesn't group anybody together. They're in a different position because since their game is easy to play, they have the audience and they have the brand name to, no matter what they put out, no, not put out, but no matter what they put out, they're going to sell copies. That's just the way it is. Now, whether they beat their own record as the years go on, that's something that they, you know, have to deal with. But they're going to make money no matter what they put out. Honestly, I think this is just them listening to fan feedback and kind of not understanding their audience. They understand their audience to a degree, meaning they know that they're casual players. They know they want the run and gun, the small maps, that kind of sort of thing. But I think they're misunderstanding when it comes to why their franchise is getting negative feedback. And in their mind, they're thinking, oh, boots on the ground. That means they want to go back to older stuff. It's not necessarily older stuff. And I've been saying this for a while now. It's the tactical feel of a game. And I'm not saying take Call of Duty and make it into Rainbow Six. That's not what I mean by when I say tactical. What I mean is the people who love military FPS games are the same people who love guns, warfare, modern day combat. They're the people who go out there and let's say they got guns and, you know, like they shoot guns in their backyards or at the range, or teenagers who love that stuff growing up into adults, and kids who just like to play anything popular because they're not allowed to play it. You know, that's your main audience. It's not people who like to play sci-fi. People, let's say like myself, who like Halo and like sci-fi versus, you know, normally it's like you either like one or the other. That's just the way people are. And for them to keep going years and years of, oh, let's make, you know, boost jumping, exoskeletons, far into the future, you know, space colonist invasions and stuff. It's just like, no, that's sci-fi. You're getting away from your element. Like, to me, Call of Duty has been the most popular for Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Those are the only games where I could say Call of Duty. That's when people was like living and breathing with COD. After that, you had Black Ops 1 and 2. They were okay, you know, but as you know, the hold that the game had on people started to die off after that. And it's just people just stopped playing it. You have people, there's been people I've been watching on YouTube for years, like going back like maybe 6, 7, 8 years. And they just like don't play the game no more. Not because their family life or their personal life don't allow them to do it. They just fell out of favor with the game. And it's the same thing with Halo. Like I have a best friend who he lived and breathed Halo 3. But that was like one of the only games he played. But after they kept making the changes and each game got away from what he liked out of the franchise, he just stopped playing it. And that's just, it's sad, but I mean, that's the reality of, you know, that's the reality of us gamers. I mean, when a company does something you don't like for instance, me, I particularly don't like, you know, the newer Call of Duties. I played, I think the last one I played was what, Black Ops 3, I think it was Black Ops 3. They make so damn many of them. But I didn't play the newest one, the one with the Game of Thrones guy. I think it's the newest. In Infinite Warfare, the one with space colonization. Didn't touch it. I have the game, only because somebody got it for me, but never installed it on my PlayStation 4. And I think it's just one of those things where going back to World War II, that's not going to fix that problem. That's just going to make new problems. Yeah, it's going to be boots. It's probably as boots on the ground as you can get. But at the end of the day, it's you have to remove a lot of the game too. If normally, typically, unless they pull like a Battlefield 1, where they start making up guns to throw in there, a lot of the modern day features that come with the modern Call of Duty game you can't have. Like you can have the whole create a character system. Like if they wanted to keep that, they could add that in there, change around your different gear, all that stuff. But what people come to expect out of the weapons, like putting scopes on, attachments, modifications to their guns, all of that kind of sort of stuff that people min-max with in a Call of Duty game, you can't do in a World War II setting because they didn't have that. You had the gun, the magazine, you had a few experimental things here and there, but for the most part, everybody was rocking, you know, similar shit. That's just the way it was. And they made a lot of changes to that creator class system as the games went on. And certain items and mods and scopes and things allowed them to do that, where you could have different attachments and modifications and all that kind of sort of stuff. Like prime example, like just to say scopes. They didn't really use scopes like that in World War I and 2. Everything was for the most part iron sights. I mean, unless you had like a marksman rifle, a sniper rifle, or something like that that was designed to shoot long range like that, you didn't have a scope on it. That's just the way it was. So what happens to all of those gamers who like, you know, like me, like prime example, I love red dot scopes and sniper rifle scopes. That's me. That's just, you know, what I like to, I will throw that on a submachine gun if I want, you know? there's probably thousands of people out there who are just like me that like to mess around with those various attachments. And unless this, unless just say that they maybe, unless they say fuck it and just be like, you know what, it's in multiplayer, we're not trying to be realistic, whatever, it's just in there to be in there, then then they could do that and then, carry that on and then make it work. But if they try to make it somewhat realistic, kind of like how Battlefield 1 did things, then it's I'm not saying it has to be realistic, but it's just, if they want to stick to the time period like they want, then they can't do certain things. And that's, that's just my thought on it. So, I mean, they can make it work, but it's just one of those things where we're just going to have to wait and see until the game comes out. And I just don't know if it's going to have the same popularity as the older COD games. It seems like as the years go on and the games go on, COD is, they're churning their fan base, so to speak. A lot of the older people who like it are either dying out from the game or changing how they think about the game, and a lot of newer, younger people are coming in, so maybe they won't have those problems. Who knows? But that's just my, my opinion on it, and it's really a problem because I don't see. It's one of those things where, as a game developer or a company, you have to think about, because you're putting out a product, and it's one of those things that may not have a correct answer. Because, like, even if, they didn't go back and try to, remake, let's say remake, like a modern FPS game, because they can't just keep, remaking older COD games. They can't just keep doing that shit. So, if they try to recapture the magic with, like, make another modern COD, I mean, even if they did that, they're going to be some people who don't like that. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, well, you got to do it one way, and then, take the loss or take the hit, and you got to do it the other way, and you're still going to take a hit. So it's it's one of those situations where I'm glad I'm not the person making the video game, But